it's now time to start our workshops. The moment we've all been waiting for, don't you think? At least I have. We have really good examples from 3 different countries, actually 2 represented here today. The United States of America is not coming, but we have 2 really good European countries here, Austria and Germany. And they are the professionals in organizational learning. Feels good, right? There's so many questions. So I will start by presenting the 3 persons who will be participating in this, and then Laila will be letting you know how this method works, because it's a different kind of method than maybe you usually work with, at least I. So we'll start with Mr. Julian Heibl. Is that correct? Heibl. Oh, sorry. Julian Heibl. Yeah. Better? Okay. Julian is an expert for active labour market policy measures and public employment services. He has a long experience in the public employment services. Since the beginning of this year, he works with the Austrian PES as international advisor at the office of the Director General. Please welcome Julian Heibl. And before... Oh, now my sound... Excuse me. Can I just... Yeah. I just wanted to also present Laila before, and Tobias as well. I'll start with you, Laila, because you will be the person who actually does this during the method. And Laila is from Norway, as you have already noticed, and she works with organizational development, competence development, and management. She has a heart that beats for young people and believes in the national youth efforts, correct?
Yes.
Right? And then, all my cards have been, okay. Mr. Tobias Regev, French, lovely, is head of unit of knowledge management at the German Federal Employment Agency, BA. He has worked with leadership responsibility in the areas of strategy development and controlling for many years. And he's building up knowledge management at the BA with his team since last year. Welcome. Okay.
Then
The stage is yours.
I will just give you a little bit information about the method that we are going to use. We are going to explore the good examples from Austria and Germany. And we are going to explore them by a learning method which is very structured. I will lead you through a structured process to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to reflect, to share, and to ask questions to the good examples, to Julian and Tobias. And I will say that this method we have used in Norway for about 10 years. So it's not a new model, but we continue to use it because the ratings from the participants gives us information about that this is something that the participants really appreciate. And we have used it in our yearly organisational learning conference, which has about 500 participants each year, and they gives us feedback to keep on using this method. So this is also a way to share this this method with you. Maybe you like it or maybe not. It's up to you to decide. But we will show you a way to learn through this process. And the process is like, I will tell you, I will guide you step by step. The process is that
I'm in charge of time.
yes, because there is in order to, the goal is to create a safe and good environment for learning. It has to do to relate to each other, to share, as I already said. But in order to be on time to lunch, we are also going to have to interrupt you and to guide you further through, so everyone can have the opportunity to share. Yes. And then we start first with Julian, the good example for Julian, 15 minutes, and then from Germany, 15 minutes, and then I will lead you step by step from there. Sounds it good so far?
Yes.
Yes, good. So Dear Julian, please let us know.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Julian. I was introduced. I'm from the Austrian Press. I have started to work in the Austrian Press only recently, but as it was mentioned, I'm not new to the press world. And since 15 years almost, I work in press-related issues. And when I prepared for the presentation today, I was thinking, okay, I will go to my colleagues, the more senior ones, and ask them a bit what is their idea or their experience, whether we are a best practice or a good practice example in terms of organizational learning. And to my surprise, I received a very diverse picture. So it was very heterogeneous, not homogeneous. So I tried to put on in the slides a picture that looks good, and I would like to share this with you now. To start first, I want to give you a bit of information about the organization of our press so that you have a bit more understanding how it works. And you see here, right on top, the two ministries that are our supervisory institution, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. And then the AMS as such has three levels. A federal level, 9 regional organizations, and 104 local organizations. These are the job seekers' offices. And each of these three levels has these three dimensions. You can see them here. So the first one is always a sort of an administrative council, or we call it regional directorate or local advisory council. But this is a more strategic level. This is where the government, the representatives from the government, and those the social partners are sitting in, and they do the strategic work. Then the second level is the executive board, the regional directors board, and or the local directors board. This is the top management. And the third one is the federal administrative office, or the regional offices, or the local offices. So the whole institution as such, as we are, for example, here today with all the persons working in the press. It's very much similar to Germany, actually. No, if you agree to this, yeah. So smaller, 10 times smaller, or even 20 times smaller, but as for the organization, it's very, very similar. So when it comes to organizational learning, I personally believe there is two dimensions that are very, very important. I hope that Catherine, if she's still, I can't see her now, but I hope she's not fainting if I say this, but very superficial is that I think there is the dimension that you need a culture, a spirit of learning in the organization, and then you of course need the appropriate tools to use this spirit and to make learning possible. And I will try to tackle these two dimensions in my presentation. So the first dimension that I say is more strategic one. Is there a culture of learning? I think we need to look, in our case, back to the history of AMS. When is this culture, this learning culture, this spirit introduced? And there I would like to first mention 1994, when the AMS, or the PES, was outsourced from the direct administration of the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs at that time. At that time, the AMS was not called AMS, of course, it was called Labor Market Administration. And the spirit of this Labor Market Administration was, as it says, administration of unemployed people. Yeah? And as you all from a PES, you know that administration is simply not enough, or was not enough any longer 25 years ago. And the idea of the politicians was, we need to become a more service delivery agency, an institution that rethinks and redevelops itself and offers active support and service to the citizens, so to the people, to the job seekers and to the employers. We were very much inspired by the Nordic countries, as always in our case. The second idea was to form much more a decentralized organization. As it says in the first line, we were under direct administration, so it was all top-down from the ministry to the local levels. But then the new organization was set up as a decentralized decision, because we believe that the best decisions are to be made in the region, in the local area, because there the knowledge on the labor market needs are the best. However, this means, of course, there needs to be a constant and managed exchange of these levels, otherwise you lose a lot of knowledge. In 1996, we introduced management by objectives, something that was rather new to a public institution at that time, and I think there is still many, many public institutions, ministries, for example, that are not run and managed by objectives. So for us, a process of constant critical reflection to rethink our institution and to adapt it, to learn, to use learning in order to get better. In 1999, we developed the first approaches and applied the first time quality management, and I would say since then we followed within our whole organization this PDCA logic. So this logic of plan, do, check, act, a simple logic of quality management. There are different types, and we do annual quality management assessments externally at the national level, but also at the European level. In 2006, we then introduced a balanced scorecard, which is a set of indicators, 25 indicators currently. And in 2009, we further developed this balanced scorecard and attached annual bonuses for employees for the best performance, basically. I will talk about this a bit more in detail later. This all translated then also in our AMS vision statement, which is can be easily summarized in 3 steps. What do we as an AMS, as a PES, what do we want to be? So first we want to be the leading customer-oriented service agency on the labor market. So this, in my opinion, reflects very much. If we want to be the leaders, we need to be open, we need to learn from whatever sources that seems to be our best. And we need to constantly increase our performance in order to stay and to become and to stay the leading customer-oriented service agency. Therefore, as I said, we need to learn from those sources that seem to be the best. We also need to cooperate very closely with stakeholders, for example, the private agency, in order to get to achieve the best results. And we want to be seen from all our stakeholders as an excellent organization. So now the question is, of course, what is an excellent organization? What does an excellent organization stand for? And in our case, this, and I think in all cases, this needs to be developed, the vision of what to be an excellent organization. And we did this, we're doing this since 25 years, according to our quality management assessments. And I will quickly now show you what, for us, an excellent organization is like to be. So quickly go through. We have clear strategies where we are, these are best possible communicated. We try to integrate different management approaches. We try to balance the interests of all stakeholders. We have an outstanding customer and service orientation. We define our strategic partners. We pursue an approach of continuous improvement. Could also stay here, continuous learning. We have a high commitment of leadership. And we systematically expand these competences and skills, and we try to achieve process excellence. Furthermore, we want to apply a balanced performance management system where our results are constantly evaluated and incorporated into the strategy development processes. We try to use targeted approaches to uphold the motivation and competences and commitments of all our employees. We want to try to secure our organizational knowledge and provide information adequately. And we are conducting annually and regularly internal, external assessments. And all in all, we focus on sustainability, values, and reliability. So I think all of these indicators there on both slides are very much attached to institutional learning. They cannot be, seen as standalone options, but they have to be seen in a bigger perspective. So let me come to the second dimension that I mentioned. So what are the appropriate tools for us in place that you can make use of institutional learning? I try to summarize these on this slide. So the first, where does the knowledge comes in our organization? As you know, the PES, we are many organizations that rely most on data, and we are big data resources. So we have data warehouses in place where we receive a lot of information on the job seekers and the employees. we not only generate this from our own customers and our own institutions, but we also use a lot of interfaces from other institutions, social security institutions, for example, where a lot of additional data come in, and then we process them and further work on this. So there already we generate a lot of knowledge. We have the balanced scorecard, this performance indicator system, as I said, currently 25 indicators. We have employee surveys. We do the quality management assessments on a quantitative and qualitative basis. And of course we do a lot of research, we have a lot of studies, we work together with a lot of institutions, research institutions and so on. And then a bit addressing what Catherine said, we also, how do we transport the knowledge further? So at the individual and the team level, at the team level we have installed this CPI teams, we call them continual improvement process meetings, which are basically meetings of the quality managers in the offices, so at all the three levels, national, regional and local levels, quality managers together with the management. And there we have constant meetings where we reflect knowledge and how we, all these questions, how we generate and how we transport it further. And we have a dedicated special dimension, which are projects. I will go a bit more in detail later on the next slide. At an individual level, we try to support learning by a tool that we call management of ideas, which is basically a tool where we try to enrich our organizational learning by inviting our employees to input individual ideas, how to make the institution better. Also a bit more in detail later. How do we transport our knowledge basically? So we have constant meetings at management level, which are again at national, regional and local level. That corresponds to our decentralized structure in the AMS. We have a lot of symposia and cross-process symposia on different events and topics. We have team meetings at all levels of the organization, and we also try to exchange within these teams regularly. We have big events like the Best of AMS Award, a bit more later. We have learning fairs and strategy meetings. I think everything that is also common in all of your organizations, but just to name it down. And there's also informal meetings. To me personally, I think they're very important. So that's not only the lunch appointments and the coffee breaks, but we also, for example, as I said, we do a ski championship and summer games. So really big events for all our employees and also some of the customers that we invite. And there's this informal environment where a lot of knowledge is generated and exchanged. And of course, as all of you, we have training courses. We have our own AMS academy where all our stuff that starts and that works in our institution needs to constantly train. We have an intranet platform. We are constantly invited to do internal trainings. So I just received an invitation for an anti-corruption training that I have to do within a period of 3 months now. And of course we have our internal social media tools where we transport the best practices and so on. Now let me come to three best practice or good practice example, our project database. So whenever we define something as a project, which means that we have a project leader, we have a project team, and there is a project plan that is signed by the top management and so qualified as a project, this needs to be introduced or typed into a project database with the aim that we are not losing the knowledge that we generate here, again reflecting and responding to this decentralized structure of our past. So, for example, that if in the northern countries, in Austria, a regional office is trying out something new, this project is constantly reflected and evaluated in this project database, and then exchanged on the top level management and the mid-level management, so presented there. And when now a region in the south would like to do something similar, they have to, or they could go to the database, look into what the cornerstones, the problems there, the challenges there, and then copy, or at least try to copy some aspects, get into contact And if they believe that it was a good project, they can even mark it as a best practice transfer project, which will be then awarded in our AMS event. So a very easy tool, but of course everybody needs to be so, let's say, motivated to also use this tool. And that's a tricky thing, in my opinion, for institution, that there is a lot of knowledge and projects and pilots being done, and the outcome, the positive effects are very easily forgotten then if you're not really introducing these into a tool like a database. So it is mandatory for our employees to use this. The second one is the management of ideas. We call it EDFix. I mentioned it already. It's also a kind of a database where we try to actively integrate our staff into issuing new ideas. So this can be very small and very little ideas. The aim is to introduce an idea that is not part of your work environment, so from another work environment, because you are expected to do this anyway within your environment. And then once your superior has judged it to be a good idea, you can get an award, which is even a remuneration in terms of money. And my last slide, the AMS award, because I see them standing up already, I feel there is a kind of freezing breeze coming here. Once a year we have a big event, which is called the AMS Award, and there we award several categories. So you see the best 3 local offices from the balanced scorecard performance indicators we award there, the best local office in each federal state, the best feedback of the female customers, the service line, the best engagement of local officers within AMS training, so again, learning aspect very much, the best pass AMS on tour, this is an event going to the employers, the best 3 ideas awarded, which I presented on slide before, the best good practice project, and the best vocational information center. That's from my side.
Thank you very much.